Welcome to Deep River Farm, folks. I appreciate you joining me this evening. I got a question. How come none of the weather forecast in Texas predicted any type of precipitation, the amounts we're talking about here, that was going to be anywhere close to what fell? How did every meteorologist in the state of Texas failed to predict this amount of rain? Nobody predicted anything like this. Wonder why? I've got my suspicions, and let's take a look at it. So what's trending all over the internet? How could the greatest flood that ever hit that part of Texas in 100 years not be predicted? That's what's trending over the internet. This should have been predicted if it was normal. What would cause that tarp where that individual captured that rainwater in a campground in that area of Texas? What would have caused that blue color? I can only imagine. And a lot of you are thinking right down the same line that I am. So here we go, folks. Starting again. This is running from east to west. They just won't let it alone. So folks, in this stage of the game, there's going to be one of two endings to this video. There are going to be those that will agree with what I'm telling you. The other side is going to say it's nothing more than misinformation. Well, I encourage each and every one of you to do your own due diligence in research. I've did mine. I know what I found, bugs, and I know what I saw. I know what I've seen in the past. I know what the destruction looks like. I know how long it takes when they come over top of us here doing their spraying, how long it is before the rain hits, or the bad storms, or the high winds, or like it did right as the plants were coming in real good, we got all of a sudden got cold weather down into the 40s at night, which is way below normal, and it stunted some of the growth in the garden on the okra plants and some of the tomato plants. So you're going to have those that are going to agree that the Charlie, Lima, Indigo, Mike, Alpha, Tango, Echo, and add the word change onto the end is a real thing. Those are the people that are brainwashed as far as I'm concerned. The temperatures and all that are increased simply from all this garbage they're doing daily all over the United States. It's creating all the instability. It's creating the tornadoes. It's creating the hailstorms. It's creating the floods. It's enhancing hurricanes and so forth. They can say what they want. They can deny this program till the end of time. But on the NOAA website, all you got to do is go in there, go into the search, go into the Whiskey Echo Alpha Tango Hotel Echo Romeo, the modification, and then type in on the last word program, and bingo, you're there. It's all there. It's all documented. For those of you that want to deny this, I invite you to look it up, see it for yourself. And if you're believing all the naysayers, all the deniers, and you want to believe the government on all that stuff, just find out what the government wrote for you right there on their own website. What's happened, folks, is my theory, your thinking, and my thinking are alike, has gone from a conspiracy theory to states passing laws banning the spraying. Are you one of those that are sitting there at the TV shaking your head, or on your phone shaking your head and don't believe it? Well, if you go straight to the NOAA website, there's a complete web page set up within the web page directly talking about the modification of Whiskey Echo Alpha Tango Hotel Echo Romeo modification. It's a program, folks, and our government is in it up to their neck. They're all aware of it. It's been stuff passed since 1979 in the Congress requiring reporting to the NOAA intentions for that type of activity. So, folks, I did a lot of investigating. I pulled up some information. I'm going to see if I can remember what the name of it is, but there's a lot of spraying going on over the state of Texas. Lots of it. Texas has 7 active operations, let's call it that, going on as we speak. Think about this. There's been lots of weird weather going on. Flooding last year in Southern California, flooding in Dubai. We're talking outside the United States. We've had flooding in western North Carolina. We've had flooding in Pennsylvania. We've had flooding in Florida. We now have flooding in Texas. And just today and yesterday, with all the rain that we've had more flooding in central North Carolina. None of this, folks, is normal. Every bit of this is being created, man-made. It is created with the use of chemicals and timing of placing these things in the upper atmosphere at critical times when clouds are developing, and these areas are being injected with the spray. These storms are being created and intensified by spraying chemicals to cause the rain, cool the atmosphere, and create cloud cover and other reasons. These are man-made events. No doubt about it. And this is what's trending currently all over the internet. People's fed up with this. We've talked about this last night and the night before. The people that are paying for it are the people. It has no effect on the banks. They're going to get their money on these mortgages, or you'll never get another one. The insurance company's going to take your money and never pay out. You're going to be left holding the bag. Meanwhile, these companies that are involved in this get away with it and get grants from the federal government and the state governments to do this stuff to inflict harm on the people. So, folks, on this first few that I showed you, I'm going to read what this, who they are. I went straight to the NOAA.gov to search for the spraying in Texas. There was 110 pages of entries, so I started looking quickly for anything that was entered in 2025. And I found this. The South Texas, I'm going to assume the WMA might stand for Water Management Association. Anyway, they hired a company called Rainmakers Technologies, which is based in Wilmington, Delaware. Ain't that a coincidence with the last administration? However, this has been going on for a very, very long time. There was also another one called the Panhandle Groundwater Conservation District. It was put on and signed by a meteorologist. It did not say who may have done that spraying at that time, but it may have been a private individual. It didn't list that. The meteorologist signed the application. Then there was one called Trans-Pecos WMA, I'm assuming Water Management Association, and it was done by rainmakers as well. And then there was another one called West Texas WMA, I'm assuming Water Management Association. It was also sprayed by rainmakers. And these permits had been running from the spring to the late fall in 2025. So if you've seen these applications, what's the matter, Benny? My little dog, he's always wanting something. He thinks he's got to be fed all the time, but if he did, he'd be as big as a trash can. And you're just a little old Jack Russell Terrier. You don't need all that food you think you need all the time. Anyway, folks, getting back, those are the actual filings. I've got 2 more I'm going to share with you so you can see these from the different companies, the different areas that affect Texas. Now, I also found some that covered the panhandle of Texas, but I felt like that was too far east to affect the weather there in central Texas, and felt like those areas in Texas would be more viable. Now, we're not accusing these companies of the flood or anything like that, but it just kind of is a coincidence, I would say, that these companies and these water districts, water management associations, whatever they may be, are actively engaged in this. And we've had a lot of bad storms in Texas. We've had a lot of bad storms in Kansas. We've had really bad storms in New Mexico and California and Western North Carolina. And now we've got another one in Central North Carolina. We've had all that flooding in Kentucky and West Virginia. And folks, this is an intensified and created problem that we've got, and this needs to be stopped. And I don't know what the solution is, but maybe you viewers can leave some comments and get something started to help get this stopped. I'm going to share with you a few more of these, and then I'll come back and we'll talk just a little bit more, and we'll close the video out. So folks, I wanted to utilize this video for any of you that still had second thoughts about this possibility of this mess of the government not being involved. You know, they denied this for years and years, called everybody a conspiracy theorist that questioned what was going on. And, you know, the only difference in a conspiracy theory and the truth is it seems like just give it about 6 months, and the truth will come out, and it's generally no longer a conspiracy theory. So the last picture you just saw there, folks, is the picture of the state of Texas, and that is the active areas in which Texas is currently doing some spraying. So take a look at that if you missed it, and I'm going to also show you what has taken place in North Carolina in the next few pictures. So experts are saying this was a natural disaster. Those of us that know the actual truth know what's taken place. I've supplied the filings, folks that shows the programs, the dates, the companies involved, and everything for you to see. So you've seen the pictures, you know what's taken place in the past, what's taken place in just the last couple of days in Texas, in central North Carolina. So this is just not something that can be swept under the rug. People need to be asking the The talk on the internet is there. People's fed up with it. People's tired of losing everything they've got, work all their life, lose everything, and no way to recover, especially if you're up close to retirement or into retirement age. You will never recover from an event like this because your insurance will not pay out. They're going to take your money and run and post that $26 million profit, billion dollar profit, like Allstate did. So folks, if you're in Texas and you're watching this video, or you're in Central North Carolina watching this video, you're going to see what Western North Carolina has been dealing with in this upcoming video, and you're going to find out what you're in for, and this will prepare you so that you know what to expect. And the sad thing about it is the state of Texas is endorsing all of this rain enhancement, which creates these supercell thunderstorms, hail, tornado, flooding, and all this erosion, contaminating of the soil, killing the plants, killing people's gardens, killing the bees, and so forth. So your state of Texas, if you're in Texas, your state of Texas is endorsing all of this by approving these applications, and the ramifications is what you're getting ready to see when it comes time for your insurance in the next video.
One adjuster had only ever worked for you over years in the industry, and he said he was repeatedly directed by your company, Allstate, to change factual findings, to delete material in his reports, to alter his reports, to make them factually incorrect, all with the purpose of driving down the award and padding your profits.
I disagree with this statement.
Well, I have to notice that, your profits have never been better. They're really quite extraordinary. Fiscal year 24, Allstate had $64 billion in revenue. That's 12% above the previous year. You made $4.6 billion in profits. And your CEO, Tom Wilson, last year was paid $26 million. Now, Miss Miguel can't get her claim paid out, but Tom Wilson, that's not what they testified to.
So folks, you heard it right there from Senator Josh Hawley, where he was raking over the coals, Allstate, for taking money and running. And that's what I'm saying. These companies are not going to pay out. They're going to have every little loophole they can. They've got lawyers on retainer, and you can't fight a company that size as an individual and be able to do anything. So you see what's going on, folks? It's a big, I'm going to call it a legalized extortion on the part of insurance companies, because they're extorting money legally by making people have coverage when they have a mortgage, yet they won't pay out. Now, folks, a lot of banks also, when they write a mortgage for you, they will get insurance on that same mortgage for the bank's purposes and safety, as a safety net. And a lot of times the bank gets paid out on that mortgage and then turns around and expects you to pay them as well, and never telling you that the bank has already had that mortgage paid off by an insurance company. So when that happens, it's called double dipping. It's called, I would say, pretty much a bad thing for a person to never find out if their mortgage was paid off by another insurance company. That's nothing but just double dipping and wrong. So folks, I wanted to just show you that with Senator Hawley. So folks, you're getting ready to see one more slide here. For those of you that are in Western North Carolina, you've got a deadline of April the 3rd if this is going to affect you on getting some roads and bridges replaced. So folks, I'm going to reiterate one more time. There is no proof of anything of these companies that's doing this spraying caused the flood. All I'm going to tell you is the filings are there. Sorry for the sun blinding you. That the filings are there, which gives them the opportunity to do the spraying between those time frames. I saw one started in March of 2025 and one that ended in 10/31/25. So anywhere in that time frame, this company or these companies can do the spraying with the correct application and permitting that's been done and signed by the state of Texas. I'm telling you this because I don't want one of them to come back and try to sue me saying I'm telling that they're responsible for it, which I'm not. I'm just telling you what I found, what I see, and people can decide on their own what they want to look at. Now, we have no information from anything like Flight Tracker or anything like that can tie any of these companies into any of the spraying at any time in the state of Texas. I'm not living in the state of Texas. I'm in North Carolina, but I can just tell you that I found those filings. I can also clarify too when I said we found 110 pages in the NOAA. Now, that didn't mean there was 110 pages on the state of Texas. That was the total that I found, and there were some. Most of it was California and Utah and Colorado and North Dakota, and it's just everywhere. So I had to sort through all that to find the state of Texas and the Panhandle, and I never did see any for North Carolina, but I wasn't looking. I was mainly concentrating on Texas, trying to put two and two together and see what was going on.
Tree right there in the front part of your home, and you're an Allstate policyholder, is that correct?
Correct.
And Allstate sends out an adjuster, you said pretty quickly just a moment ago, is that
About
correct?
3 weeks after.
Oh, well, that's not very quick. Okay, 3 weeks after. All right, and that you were told at the time in this first inspection verbally that the adjuster agreed with you this was very severe damage. Is that fair to say?
Correct.
I think we maybe have a second picture. Let's look at another view of this just to give a real impression. Here's a breezeway that looks to be nearly completely destroyed. You can see some of that roof damage, quite extensive, that you were talking about in your testimony. All of this looks familiar to you, I'm sure.
Yes.
Now, after this first adjuster agrees with you that yes, there's very significant damage, what did Allstate, when they finally came back with an actual assessment, a real number, what was that number again?
$46,000.
$46,000. So you went to considerable expense on your own. You hired your own independent adjuster to come back out and do all of this over again. And that person, looking at all of this evidence, that person found that the damage was in the neighborhood of what?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, how your independent adjuster, how much did that person estimate the damage was?
$497,000.
$497,000. Allstate offered you 40, basically.
Correct.
And you're still waiting for this process to be resolved all this time later. Is that right?
That's right.
Let me just ask you now, Mr. Schroeder, because you were that first adjuster who worked for Allstate who came out to look at this home. You were a field adjuster deployed for Allstate through Pilot Catastrophe. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
And you were the first one to inspect Miss Miguel's home after the hurricane. Is that right?
Yeah.
And you went in person, I think. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you spent several hours, Ms. Miguel said in her testimony a moment ago, you spent several hours doing a very thorough inspection. Is that your memory also?
Yeah, that's correct.
And how serious would you say the damage was in your own, just your personal recollection?
Extremely, probably the most serious that I saw on this deployment.
Wow, the most serious that you saw on the deployment, which makes sense given these photos. So you start, if I understand correctly, you start to prepare an estimate for a full replacement of this breezeway right here. Does that sound right?
Yeah, that's correct.
But then you were instructed, you were told by the higher ups, no, we're not going to do a full replacement of the breezeway. So only do an assessment for a partial replacement of the breezeway. Is that correct?
Yes, that's
okay.
correct.
So then you start working on that, and you're working to get as big of a damage claim as you can for Ms. Miguel in line with the facts after you've already been told, no, we're not going to do the full thing. And then before you can even complete your work, you're taken off the case. Is that right?
Yes.
Why do you think that happened?
I was told it was due to time I was taking too long, but I don't believe that is the case. I think that Allstate saw from this and my recently prior estimates of being very thorough and complete and going back and forth with reviewers on coverage, that it was going to be a higher estimate, and it would be more cost effective to reassign it to an adjuster that would listen better.
Yeah, an adjuster who would lowball the policyholder. Really, I mean, that's what we're talking about. You're removed from the case. It took 3 weeks to send you out to begin with, and then all of a sudden, boom, you're removed once it looks like you're actually going to do some justice for Ms. McCall. Let me just ask you more broadly, Mr. Schroeder, have you ever been told to change estimates to reduce payouts?
Yeah, frequently.
And when you've pushed back on this, if you've ever said no, what happens then?
If I say no, then the claims typically get reassigned due to, they say, either lack of compliance or other reasons like I'm taking too long.
In your experience, was this kind of thing a one-off thing, or was this a pattern?
This was definitely a pattern.
Is it fair to say then that Allstate's priority in your experience was not getting the best possible award for their clients, it was in protecting their bottom line?
Certainly in protecting their bottom line, yeah.
I appreciate you joining me here today on Deep River Farm. Me and my little Jack Russell Terrier, Benny, is going to go out in the garden and pick some tomatoes. How about leaving a comment, not just on the live chat, but also in the comments so that this video can be pushed out. And we've got the proof right there of the filings from the state of Texas, and the NOAA is where these applications were retrieved from. So they're applied for in Texas and filed through the government, the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration .gov, and you can pull this information up with a little research on your own. Don't just take everybody's word for it. Do your own research and spread this video around so others can learn the truth. Thanks for watching. Have a blessed day from Deep River Farm. Keep those folks in Central North Carolina that's been flooded yesterday in your prayers, and also those in Texas. And we know many have died and are still missing in the state of Texas. Have a blessed day.